All right guys, so today we are gonna be packaging our freshly freeze-dried meats and vegetables out of this all-new Harvest Right extra large freeze dryer. I'm super excited about this machine. The new lineup of Harvest Right freeze dryers are called Pro. They're more energy efficient, they freeze dry more, they're quieter, they're just an all-around better product. This is the extra large version of that Pro lineup. Basically, the freeze drying process is complete. We had to put it in there for a bit more time, as we talked about in the last video, because it wasn't entirely freeze dried yet. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to open our drainage valve over here. That's going to release the vacuum seal so we can actually open this thing. The suction is going to start to get reduced. Once the venting of the drain valve goes silent, you know you're able to finally open up the chamber. So now we can open it up. Around the edges of the freeze dryer, that's a lot of the moisture that we've been taking out of this thing. We're going to go defrost. We're gonna take all our food out. I'm wearing gloves as well because I don't want the oils or any sort of moisture that might be on my skin contaminating the freeze-dried food. This freeze dryer is next level. I'm so impressed. It's rare that I'm so impressed with a product that it just blows my mind. This is one of those products. So these are the old freeze dryer trays. These are the new ones for the extra large. So this is from the medium. The new Pro Edition actually gives you a bit more depth, so you can freeze dry a lot more stuff. If you do get the Harvest Right freeze dryer, you're going to get one of these sealers. You're going to get some mylar bags. You can use any mylar bags, and you're going to get a few oxygen absorbers. So those are the three main things you're going to need. That'll work just fine for preserving food long term. If you look at any freeze-dried food that's in those small mylar bags like Mountain House or Peak Refuel, all they really have in there is the oxygen absorber. A lot of it's not vacuum sealed. You can vacuum seal it if you want to do the ultimate in long-term food preservation, and I'll show you that method today. It's not really necessary, and let's be brutally honest, most people are going to eat this stuff well before the 25-year expiration date anyways. This will last a lot longer than 25 years. This probably, honestly, will last centuries. Will it retain the same amount of nutrients and the texture over that length of time? Probably not, but it's not gonna matter because you're gonna be dead anyways. For the sake of consistency, we're gonna be measuring out all this stuff into preset denominations for the sake of tracking your calories, your nutrition intake. If you were in a situation where you had to ration food, it's nice to know exactly how much you're using and exactly how much nutrients you are getting. Now, there's a couple different mylar bags you can get. You can get the flat, non-gusseted ones, which is perfectly fine if you are just going to open this, use everything in the bag, and then put it back. So there is these pull tabs on here. So just for example, so when you do finally go and want to open this, you just pull that just like you would a normal package. If you have some left in there, you could just clip it off. It will stay good for several weeks, if not months, so long as you can keep it moisture free, okay? You may want to consider some gusseted bags, and you may want to go a step further to get ones that are zip locked. If you're planning on storing maybe a larger amount in this bag and you actually want it to stand up, so that's the gusset at the bottom there. So that's going to allow this to stand up in your pantry, and you're gonna be able to reseal it afterwards. They give you this sealer because if you're relying on something like a Foodsaver, you can utilize a hair straightener for this method as well. You're gonna wanna make sure you have a tight seal on that bag. This ensures that you have full control over the size of seal you want and how tight of a seal you want, okay? So this chicken is bone dry, as you can see. Look at how that crumbles. It turns into like a powder almost. You could probably make some cool soups and stuff with that. I think 100 grams of chicken is going to be pretty good in terms of a good portion. So 100 grams of freeze-dried chicken is around 90 to 100 grams of protein. 100 grams of normal chicken is only about 25 to 27 grams of protein. So you got to keep that in mind when you're weighing things out, that this is going to increase in weight by 3 to 4 times. Let's see how it fits. Yeah, I think that's a decent size, because it gives you ample amount of room to seal it in the bag. You could easily fill this up more. You could stuff these down there It's no big deal. You don't want to have too many crinkles and wrinkles in there because that's a potential way that the bag could be perforated and oxygen could be released. The reason why we use mylar is because it's non-porous. Compare that to something like plastic from these Foodsaver bags. It is porous. So over time, years, I'm talking 5 years, that vacuum sealed food will eventually allow oxygen in. So now Harvest Right gives you oxygen absorbers. They give you these bags of 10. Right when you open a bag of these, they're gonna immediately start absorbing oxygen. You wanna make sure that when you're not using them, you cover that thing up right away because there is a time limit on how long these things are gonna be effective, okay? Throw that oxygen absorber in there, put our bone dry chicken into there. We're going to lock that in for a while. So on the sealer here, you can see it goes from 1 to 8. That's indicative of the thickness of the mylar bag. So if you're using a very thin mylar bag, you would only need to go to 1. If you're using a very thick mylar bag, you need to go to 8. Because I'm a paranoid prepper type, I tend to always put it on 8 just to make sure you get a tight seal. I mean, there's no reason not to. Now let's try out one of these Ziploc bags. And don't forget, you gotta put the oxygen absorber in there. The thing with these Ziploc ones is you don't get as much distance with the pull tab. So if you're concerned about that, you gotta be a little more careful. I don't know how impressed I am with this sealer. There's no reason why that light couldn't stay on and it couldn't stay hot a little bit longer. Like it just goes off right away. It shouldn't go off that fast. So I'd recommend doing this a few times just to err on the side of caution. Probably best to do it right over the seal as well. So there we go. So that will last damn near forever. This is very, very well freeze-dried chicken. I mean, this is amongst some of the best freeze drying I've ever done. And it's all thanks to this newer machine. Now, there is another way to do this. Let's say you want to vacuum seal it. Let's say you want to store this away for 200 years. For that, we're not going to use this. You can't use a Ziploc bag. We're going to have to use the non-Ziploc bags. You don't need an oxygen absorber for this method, but we're going overkill. You really can't overfill the bags with this method, okay? And it's not always going to work on the first try, so just keep that in mind. You're gonna need a Foodsaver. This one, the most basic one, seems to work best. That's a good thing because it's also the cheapest. And you're gonna need some vacuum sealer bags. Now, the reason why vacuum sealing works is because of this rib side. So there's two sides to a vacuum seal bag. One is the smooth side, one is the rib side. This allows air to channel deep into the bag. So what we've done is we've cut out some strips of that stuff. So you want it to be around 6 to 7 inches long. You want it to be able to channel deep into the bag, okay? It should just be in the corners there, and it has to be about 1/8 of an inch from the top of the bag. That's the only way this is gonna work. So we got the bumpy portion of the Foodsaver bag slightly sticking out of the mylar bag, and this extends all the way down the bag. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this up and we're gonna put this over here. There's this vacuum channel in here, okay? We wanna make sure that this is right inside the vacuum channel. So it shouldn't be over like that. It shouldn't be under like that. Everything has to be right in the vacuum channel. So now what we're gonna do is we're just going to close that up, lock it into place, and we're gonna press seal, vacuum and seal. You can see it's working. Wow, I got it the first try. That's a first. Now, if we hadn't put that strip in there, this wouldn't have done that because the mylar is too flat. If we don't put that plastic strip in there, this is what's gonna happen. Nothing happens, right? Because this thing doesn't seal well enough, what we immediately have to do, we have to take our Harvest Right sealer, we gotta do a quick transfer here, okay? Because that's gonna start to, and we're gonna go like that real quick. And then we're gonna have most of that air sucked out of there. I like doing this top part here, like making sure that is sealed. If there's even like a little bit of opening there, sometimes that gap can spread all the way into the bag. Okay, so these are NUTRISTORE. So these go for about $100, I believe. Maybe a little bit more than that, 540 grams. So about 1,100 grams of chicken that we got. Our chicken is not cubed like this. It's actually pulled chicken. The actual cost of the chicken that we used would have been around $60 or so. It's about 1/3 the cost. So you're saving a lot of money doing it yourself. That's what you're gonna open up in 25 years when I'm an old man telling old war stories. I used to have a YouTube channel back in the day. Everybody watched it. I was known from far and wide as the crazy guy who said the world was going to end. Don't make the mistakes I've done in the past where I don't write this down right away and I forget. You'll easily forget what's in here. So I'm just gonna write 200 grams beef cubes and the date. There's 8 billion people in the world. 90% of us wouldn't have survived back in the day. We're just alive because of technology. The question is, are you one of those 10%? I don't know if I'm one of those 10%. You're never gonna know until the time comes, right? We scrape all this off here. I'm gonna make a drink. Pure uncut fructose. So I got the strawberry drink, rehydrating it. Drink. To the apocalypse. Best damn strawberry drink I ever drank. If you had 2 of these machines running, you could probably be doing this all day. Cutting the meat, you know, processing it, packaging it. There's the blueberries. That one looks very nice. Got all the air out of there. Very good. You know what? When you're really starving in the end of days, I think people will eat anything. And that's scary. I think people will eat dog food. I've thought of doing a dog food challenge. I just can't bring myself to do it. I mean, I'll do things for views, don't get me wrong. But dog food, man, I don't know. Like the shit they put in there. I certainly wouldn't want to know what they put in dog food before I did the challenge. I'm sure it's all kind of nasty shit. I would definitely go dry before I went wet dog food. If only dogs knew what was going on. That'd be a good movie, a dog that realized the truth of his enslavement. Then he led an army of dogs against the humans. Kind of like Planet of the Apes, but with dogs. All right, guys, so freeze-dry technology has come a long way. The Harvest Right Pro machines is by far and away the pinnacle of the technology right now. Just make sure if you're gonna get one of these extra large versions, prepare to be willing to freeze-dry a lot of food at once. For most people, the medium of the large is going to suffice. But if you're trying to feed an army for the apocalypse and you really want to get your money's worth, go with the extra large. If you have any questions in the comment section below, let us know. And if you have any ideas on what we should freeze dry next, or if you just have ideas on how you could potentially use freeze-dried food for novel recipes, let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.